One. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. This is your transfer roundup / press conference coverage, all kind of wrapped into one. So very, very jam-packed show today. And the topics on your screen. Dorgu wants a United deal that is advancing. Slight gap in valuation, so we'll discuss that. Bits coming out from the Athletic. Napoli apparently have a plan B, or do they? Do they want to get Adeyemi as well as Alejandro Garnacho? Discuss that. There's been a press conference today with Harry Maguire and Rúben Amorim, which I'm sure the majority have seen the quotes from. And Marcus Rashford is also back in training with the side, alongside Victor Lindelof, I believe. So make of that whatever you will. But let's start off with this Dorgu deal, Sam. Lecce, what they're called. I've been calling them Lease for the past couple of days. Apparently they're called Lecce. I said to want around £34 million for Patrick Dorgu, while United have indicated a willingness to go to $25 million. What should we pay in your eyes?
With the Lecce thing, if it's a double C, it's a ch sound.
Ah, okay.
That's what it help you. We'll probably find out Dorgu isn't pronounced Dorgu. It'd be like Dorgu or something.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Can't win. Can't fucking win either way. So we've offered 25 and they want what? 35, did they say? 34. So it's probably going to end up, what, 29, 30?
Yeah, with add-ons.
Probably where it's probably going to be, I imagine, negotiating-wise. Like, it doesn't seem like they're too far apart on valuation. Apparently Lecce are not in a good sort of spot in the Serie A, partly the relegation candidates. I saw a story they're looking at a fullback. I know you said that he was a right back, but maybe he can play multiple positions. Maybe that's why they're looking.
But Dorgu can as well, kind of. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it might be like
so. Maybe that's why they're looking out, because they know eventually he's going to go. So I imagine the deal gets done at 29, 30, and then, like you said, maybe there's some add-ons, like some achievable add-ons in there as well. So yeah, I think I'm not too worried about this deal. I think this deal will be all right. And I know you've done a bit of scouting on him. I've watched some clips on him. H from the Overlap breakdown is very high on him. He thinks he's an excellent player. He's still raw, but he's got some excellent qualities, exactly what we need. There's a guy who does Chelsea stuff who's very Connor, I think he's called. He rates him as well. So the guys who watch these young talents and these young European like fledglings are saying he's a good player. So I'll take their expertise. But we need a left wing back, and we need one desperately, because we are suffering on that side.
It's hard to get as excited about these kind of players, isn't it? Because we don't know much, like you just alluded to there. It's hard to say, oh, well, yeah, this is what he's going to bring. You really have to do due diligence on these kind of players. But what we're struggling with at the minute in terms of the athletic side of the game, it will definitely bring strength, pace, ability on the ball. He's really, really good. You might kind of compare him a little bit to an Alphonso Davies, but obviously not as... as developed, and also not as expensive, because he would cost a fucking bomb when it comes to wages.
He's signing a new deal with Bayern, it looks like, doesn't it? So he's staying. But yeah, he's young as well, isn't he? Dorgu, he's what, 22, 23?
Yeah, he's younger.
Is he younger than that? Okay, great. So age profile wise, that's fantastic. Like I like that. I like that there's still these rumors floating around about Alvaro Fernandez as well. I like that. He's got 50 million buyback. Obviously, he has to want to come back.
Does he fit that athletic mould for you? I know he's really good and he's doing well for Benfica at the minute. You watched the Barca game last night, right? For Benfica.
I don't know why anybody didn't watch that game, because that game,
crazy.
Honest to God, was one of the maddest games I've ever seen in my life. Crazy game. But
obviously he featured in that game. He's been doing really well for him in Europe. But then does he fit that runners off the ball kind of strength mold? I don't know, for me personally.
I think he can be developed into that. I think he has got that in his locker. Obviously, he's a very different player to Dorgu. Like, he doesn't sort of play the same way. But I still think we need some depth in that side of things, because if Dorgu comes in, it's like him and then Dalot or Mazraoui are going to have to cover there, aren't they? And it's like, neither of them I like at left wing back, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not a fan of either of them playing in that position. Right wing back, you've got three. You've got Mazraoui, you've got Dalot, and Ahmad can play there. So you're covered on that side. But I was thinking maybe you need somebody else, or maybe he thinks Luke Shaw's going to be fit. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, that is a risk in itself. They're certainly not going to buy a couple of wing backs, so we can kind of
Or maybe in
put
the
that
summer.
aside.
That's what I mean. Like in the
Yeah.
summer, like I think that might be a position. Like maybe Dorgu comes in, they assess how he does. It's like, right, do we need an experienced one to come in and back him up and give him like team time, or do we need another young one to compete with him to push each other to see which one like wins out? So yeah, that could be interesting.
I'd be interested to see if he does come straight in, or if they do. I doubt they'd loan him back, because that was one of the
No.
things that Lecce wanted to do. But in reality, we're buying him because we need him right now. Otherwise, we would just wait until the summer, you know. Laurie a lot and James Horncastle also spoke about the financial situation around this, and they're saying that finances are tight, but they should be able to afford Patrick Dorgu once Antony's move to Real Betis is confirmed. Betis is set to contribute to the Brazilian salary, which would free up funds for a new arrival. So we know the situation. When you move wages off the bill, you can bring a player in. That whole kind of road we don't need to go down. But apparently the player is pushing to join as well, which is, fills me with confidence. I think this is a deal that can get done, Sam, just finally on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I touched on it. I think we're not that far apart in valuation. This is not a situation where we're like offering 10 million and they want 50. Like this is not a ridiculous chasm of a gap in valuation. So hopefully it gets done, and it gets done soon.
Yeah. Moving on to Alejandro Garnacho, because we have an update around that as well. Fabrizio Romano reported today that Napoli have made contact with Borussia Dortmund for Karim Adeyemi, and talks start with Dortmund open, and he's open to a January exit. Negotiations for Garnacho are still on, but no agreement with United after the first bid. Chelsea are also weighing up a formal proposal. Dortmund received a direct approach today, basically it's... I don't know if this is a plan B, or because I've seen a reporter, a journalist who's not that well known, saying that just because the reopening talks for Adeyemi doesn't block the move for Garnacho. So they're working on both deals in case they can't agree a deal, apparently. So that reads to me that it still is. They're working on it in case they can't agree a deal. So he's a plan B.
Or are they playing chess with United and being like,
that, I think, is the case.
If you're not willing to budge on the price point, we're going to go
definitely
try and get Adeyemi.
Oh, they might go get him. We need to lower our, typical.
Also, will Dortmund charge them out the arse, or is it just us that we get charged?
See, wouldn't it?
You know what I mean? Like they come in and like, oh, I want to buy Adeyemi. That'll be £80 million, please.
Yeah. Adeyemi's a good player. Very good player.
Yeah. But like every time we go there, we get charged absolute fortune. Like if Napoli end up buying him for like 30-40 million, I'm going to be furious, man. Absolutely furious. Weren't Villa interested in Adeyemi? I'm sure I read that.
It would have been, but they've just signed Marlon, haven't they, from Dortmund, who's another talent.
Marlon. Yeah, maybe that's who I was getting confused with.
Yeah,
maybe that's who I was getting confused with.
Dortmund wingers, I mean, they just produce them literally 2 or 3 a year, it seems, at this point. They've got Gittins as well, they're quite stacked in that area. Yeah. Well, I was looking at Adeyemi. Adeyemi's contract runs out in 2027, so it's not like he's going to go on a free or anything. It's not like they're desperate. No. Yeah, it's an interesting situation. That do you still feel this deal will go through? It's not as advanced as the Patrick Dorgu one, is it? It doesn't seem.
I'm 50-50 on this. I don't know if it happens like 100% or not with the Garnacho thing. I've seen some stuff where they said he's reluctantly coming around to the idea of leaving and going to Napoli. So, it seems like he's not itching for a move. He's not like he's been frozen out of the squad like Rashford has. Like he's been training, he's been starting games, he's been coming off the bench and he's been playing. So it doesn't seem like he's being forced out. It seems like Napoli have come in, they want the player, and we've basically set out our stand and gone, look, if you want him, we are prepared to sell, but you're gonna have to meet the price point. And Napoli are trying to figure out a way not to pay that. So I think United will be quite happy to keep Garnacho if Napoli don't come to the correct price point. And I think that's the kind of way it's going to be. So unless Napoli sort of start upping the price and stuff like that, I think he probably ends up staying. Is that good for Garnacho? I'm not sure, because it's like, where does he fit in this system of Amorim's and stuff like that? Does he then end up going in the summer anyway, when you possibly get a little bit less for him? Because obviously January prices are a little bit inflated. So yeah, it's a weird situation for Garnacho, because I do like the player. And I think he's got his ceiling is like really, really good, but I think his application and his attitude are questionable. So it's not like, I can't be Manu where I'd be like, I don't absolutely want to lose him under any circumstances. With Garnacho, if we get a good price, I'd be quite happy to let him go.
Yeah, I feel like we're light in attack as it is. I know we touched on this yesterday because we was covering the Garnacho thing, but If you let Garnacho go, obviously
have to
Antony's
bring
gone
someone
as
in.
well.
You have to bring someone in.
Rashford's kind of outcast. I know he's back in training, and we'll talk about that as well later on. But you are light there, aren't you? Like, you've not got many numbers. If one of the two players gets injured, which our players are more than capable of doing,
Yeah.
you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're like, oh, I don't know what's
You need to go get someone. Like, if you get 60 million for Garnacho, according to PSR things, you can then spend 180, I think it said.
Yeah.
So then maybe you can go get 2 attackers for that price. Go out and get 2 like really good 10s who fit into that system and can play in that system. Maybe that's what you go do. But yeah, it has to, if he goes, he has to be replaced, and he has to be replaced with quality and players that Rúben Amorim thinks will fit into his system.
That's what makes tomorrow night, should I say, interesting for me to see. A, if he starts, if Garnacho's, because he seems like he's been in the team the past couple of weeks at least. And B, if he does well and the focus around him, and I don't know, I'm just interested to see if he's in the squad as well as people like Marcus. Rúben Amorim got asked about this actually today in the presser, and he said, let's just focus on the game. I don't want to talk about that, especially before a game. I don't want to focus on individuals, basically taking all the attention away from that. But it has to be a bit of a distraction for the squad. As much as managers put it out there and give those political answers, you don't want it. You'd rather this situation be done within a couple of days, dusted, and moving on, and then bring in a player that you actually want. I don't even know who that player will be.
No, we've not been linked to anybody really, have we? Like, I've seen
not
Gittins
strongly
chopped about, but I haven't really seen anybody.
But he's a winger.
Yeah, but I've not seen anybody like a Laurie Whitwell or an Ornstein go, no, we're looking at this guy, we're looking at that guy. So yeah, unless there's deals going on, because Laurie Whitwell or Ornstein did say they're looking at another deal, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like, in addition to
and Romano
Patrick
said that as well.
Romano. So maybe that's the player that we're thinking. We just don't know who it is at this point. So hopefully we are, because I look at the sort of like, I know that what's the guy from Lyon, Shekri? Is that his name?
Cherka.
Yeah. So he's got, what is it, 22 million release clause? So there's an option there. Like, you could possibly go and activate that. I know he's quite rated. So there's some bargains out there that you can go and do, and decent players. But it's like, do you go get a stopgap like that, or do you put a shit ton of money on somebody who's a proven prospect and he'll come in and transform the team, like Bruno Fernandes did when we spent 60 million in January, brought him in, he brought us to the Champions League. So it's like, can you go out and do that again?
If you are watching this currently right now and you want to, kind of watch a video around that in terms of who could replace Alejandro Garnacho, I've done a show that we dropped today for the public about 5 players who could potentially replace him. Go and check that out. Let us know your thoughts on it, and also get your comments in on that video who you would go for if Garnacho was to leave. Amorim also got asked about his post-match actions after the Brighton defeat, and obviously the whole situation in the dressing room. And he basically said, I didn't think, that's why I'm a young guy and sometimes I make mistakes. That's why I don't talk after the game. Do you think there's an interesting dynamic with this, and also an interesting conversation? Do you think for a manager he shows his emotions too much, or do you think that's refreshing?
No, I like it. Do you remember how frustrated we used to get with like Ten Hag, where he just wouldn't tell you shit?
Yeah.
Like, he'd just be like, he's injured, and you're like, what's he injured with? What's he injured with? His leg. Yeah. Like, brilliant. Like, thanks for that.
I mean, it's like the opposite end to the scale of that, though, isn't it?
I like a part of that. I like part of what Ten Hag did, where he didn't give the press anything to leap on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as a fan, you want to know and you want to be informed about the club and stuff like that. And then maybe you've got the other side of it, like where you've got Ollie, who was just in denial the whole time, when he was talking to the press anyway. He was just like, "No, the lads are fantastic. They're working hard. They're great." And it's like, well, it's not showing on the pitch, mate. They're fucking shit. So maybe it is a bit refreshing to see Amorim come out and be like, "No, we're fucking awful. This is not acceptable, blah, blah, blah," because we could all see it on the pitch. And if he came out and went, "No, like they're working well," we'd lose our mind, wouldn't we? We'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
We've won trophies. Yeah. What about the Liverpool game last year or something?
The Arsenal game he was going on about for a while.
Situation, yeah. Jesus Christ.
So I like that side of it. I was listening to Laurie Whitwell on Paddock. I don't know if you watched that today.
Not yet.
Yeah. So he mentioned, I think the first 3 games he was at Sporting. So they lost the first 2 games. And then the third game, he was at the press conference, and he basically said, if we lose again, I'm going to quit. That's what he said in the press conference. So he's got like sort of history of saying this sort of stuff before. So he is that kind of guy. And I think he said it in this presser as well. He's like, I said something afterwards. This is why I don't like talking to the press. And then afterwards, I calm down and I realize and I go and stuff like that. So I think that's just the way he is. I think he's a like you're quite like that. You wear emotions quite obviously when you like things. So there are people like that, and it's just that's how they are. That's how they function and stuff like that. I don't see an issue with it at the minute. Fergie was very much like that behind the scenes, apparently very emotional, very fiery. But then he would turn that on the press, wouldn't he? Like he'd go on the attack against the press rather than sort of like explain how shit his players were and stuff. So yeah, it's different personalities, man. I'm okay with it.
The reason why I asked is I feel Bruno is similar because he cares so much.
Maybe it's a Portuguese thing.
Yeah, maybe it is. I mean, they both look similar as well, to be fair. He looks like he could be Amorim's kid, even though he's, I don't know, what, 8 years older than him or something. But I think Bruno has a similar thing where you love it that he cares, but sometimes you can overdo it a little bit, maybe too much.
That's the double-edged sword of it, isn't it? It's like this side, it's like, passion, give it a shit, emotion. And then the other side is, you just let it go and just fucking just move on with it. That's the double-edged, isn't it?
Thomas Tuchel and company like that. I don't know if you've ever seen clips from their training when they're screaming at players and you're like, oh my goodness. It's like they care, there's emotion there, and you want to you want to provoke that emotion out of players to make them care as well. So I get that side of it. But he's spoken about the Brighton game as well, about how the kind of mood was around the stadium, saying that, you know, the crowd are always nervous, especially when we concede first and these kind of bits. And he says, if you want, I can be delusional and say things. I say it as I saw it. I think it's a good thing to be really honest with you. If you want me to say different things, I can start to do it. It's easier for me, basically. So it's like, I'm not going to feed you bullshit and lines that are like, oh no, everything's fine. This is the reality situation. That side of it I like, because this is what I think they do need a reality check, don't they, these players?
No, absolutely. Like we've tried it with so many managers, like Jose, and you saw what happened there. He fell out with so many players. Some of them you think, well, quite rightly, because they've got attitude issues. And you saw Ollie try to be the friends, and that didn't work. So at some point, a manager's got to go in and sort of tear this dressing room up. And I think he's been the first one where he's been allowed to sort of ostracize and get rid of people, hasn't he? Like pretty much. Like, who would, like, under previous managers, there'd be no way Rashford would be allowed to be frozen out of the squad and not playing and being put out the door.
I'm sure Mourinho wanted to do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, he wanted to do it with Pogba, didn't he? And he wasn't allowed to. He just brought him back. Martial. Like, Shaw as well, he wanted out. Like, he was loads of players, but they were like, no, we've invested in these and stuff. And he ended up going because of it. So, Amorim's like the first manager where they've gone, no, like, if you don't think this player's good enough, we will try our best to get him out. So, Antony's out the door. Casemiro and is basically not played a minute, so he's probably on his way out out the door. Eriksen's been used limited, sparingly, so he's got 6 months left. So I imagine he's gone. Rashford's been pushed out and stuff, so he's being allowed to get rid of the players he thinks are not good enough. So all power to him. Like do what you need to do, man.
Harry Maguire was also alongside Rúben Amorim in the press conference. Naturally got asked a couple of questions, and he was actually asked about the Joshua Zirkzee situation, about the negative reception in Old Trafford and how he reacted to it. And he said, when times are tough, the fans really get behind you and support you. I felt that, and I'm sure Josh will have felt the crowd over the recent weeks. If there's anyone to ask about this, Sam, Maguire's the perfect fucking candidate, isn't he?
That is the guy who's got been abused more than any other United player besides maybe Marcus Rashford.
Yeah,
I think Marcus Rashford's probably the only one who's had more abuse than Harry Maguire has. So yeah, that is a good guy to sort of go. I hope Joshua went and spoke to him, like
I would have
after that game, and be like, "How did you handle this? What did you do? Like, how did you get back and all that?" And to be fair to Joshua Zirkzee, he has answered that criticism. Like the last sort of couple of games he's played, he has played well and he's been important. So to be fair to the guy, he has answered that criticism and he stepped up. Harry Maguire very much the same way. Like he was criticised for a long time when previously, when he first came in, remember the Europa League final with Ollie and he was out injured and we were all like, what the fuck are we going to do? Like Maguire's not playing. And we missed him badly. It was probably a reason why we might have lost in that final, I imagine. So I think to do that and then to the next couple of seasons, he was ostracised, been told he was awful, criticised, blah, blah, blah. And now he's back in the squad looking probably like one of our better defenders. Like he looks better than Lecce right now. He looks better than Yoro has at times. Like Yoro's had bad days and stuff. So like, all power to Maguire. And like, it's good that Xerxes got somebody you can go speak to about it.
Yeah, I'm not personally convinced on him in a back four. I think in a back five,
Yeah,
you know, he's got
as the
protection.
central
One
in the back
is
thing.
good.
Yeah,
It suits him for sure, definitely. But I think at the back four, he was risky, man, at times on
yeah,
the ball.
yeah.
You know, but he's done well. He's done well, and I think we've always said he's a shining example to anyone who's kind of coming through the academy or anyone struggling in the team. So it's nice to have him there. He also got asked if he thinks having the captaincy taken off him has benefited him. And he said, whether I'm a captain or not, I do see myself as a leader in the group of players. Playing for this club's a huge privilege and a huge honour. I wouldn't change it for anything. He won't say it is, but it has, hasn't it? Taking that
Oh
captaincy
yeah,
off
yeah,
him. Like the
yeah.
pressure,
Like
you can imagine it naturally just comes off you straight away.
yeah, because you don't have to worry about being seen as the leader, being seen as the guy who has to step forward and make statements and show quality on the pitch and all that sort of stuff. Like you can just concentrate on your game and get on with it, and there's not a spotlight on you necessarily. Whereas like we can see with Bruno, the criticism he goes through anyway, and now there's an extra spotlight on him being captain. Yeah, I think he's definitely benefited from that. Like, I think to be a United captain, you have got to be one hell of a strong player mentally. And
Yeah.
also on the pitch, you've got to be delivering 7, 8 out of 10 performances pretty much every week. You're not allowed to have a bad day as United captain. And he went through a good season, 2 seasons where he had pretty much awful games for a long time. And Bruno's like that. He's up and down with his form and stuff. So yeah, it's been a while since we've had a captain where you've gone, that is the United captain right there, isn't it? Like, it's been a while, man.
Yeah, and just the last thing from the presser, obviously there was more quotes, but I've just kind of picked out the standout ones. And this is in the programme notes as well for Rangers. He says, what we've seen so far since I arrived at Manchester United has not been good enough. We have all have to be honest with one another. Since I arrived, I've warned that we would have to suffer together, and that is exactly where we are. I'm going to kind of tie this in with the Rashford situation as well, because he is back in training. He's been spotted in training alongside Victor Lindelof for the Rangers game. Do you, as a coach, do you then look weak if let's say he does get minutes tomorrow, or do you think he still keeps his kind of stance as, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, just bringing you back in now would look a little bit like, oh, we're desperate, we need you now, so you're coming back into the team.
It depends how he does in training, doesn't it? If he shows, because that's what Amorim has said, hasn't it? He said multiple times, he can get back in this team. We want him to play for United, but he has to show whatever it is he's asking for in training that he's not showing. On that Laurie Whitwell thing, on Paddock, they asked him about this, and he basically said Rashford definitely knows what it is he needs to do, but apparently there's just a difference of opinion between him and Amorim about like what it is he needs to do. He thinks he's doing it. Amorim obviously doesn't think so. And that's what's causing the issue. So it's not like it's some mystery thing where Amorim's going, I need more from you, and Rashford's like, well, what? And he's like, well, you got to figure it out, lad. And it's not that he's been told strictly what it is he needs to do. So whether he changes his mind on that Rashford and then starts putting in the work that he thinks he was doing anyway, but does it for the manager. And then if he trains well and the manager thinks, yeah, he's come up to standard, he's doing what I asked him to do, and he stepped up to the plate, then I've got no problem with him coming back into the squad. But if he isn't doing that and then he is allowed back in the squad, then you're right, it probably does undermine the manager quite a bit, because it's then allowed the standard to slip. He set a standard, he's frozen him out the squad, and then because we need some sort of spark, he's gone, all right, you can come back in even though you've not stepped up to what I've asked you to do. But I hope that's not the case, and Amorim doesn't seem like the type to let that happen.
It's interesting to see what happens if he does come back in, especially if he scores or does something. I mean, then it's all back to him. Oh, he's back again. He's got Marcus back. And then I suppose one good thing that can come from that is if he does come back in and does well, it's only going to pique other clubs around Europe interest more, I suppose. And kind of pushing that.
Extra couple of million on the price tag or something like that. Or it just does well for us. Like, he stays until summer and he does well for us. Amorim's got his attitude and his thing back on track and all that. So, yeah, it's positive either way you look at it.
Interesting times. Of course, we will be live for the Rangers game tomorrow, pre-match and post-match, so make sure you come and join us. Either way, whether you're neutral, it's going to be an exciting game, because I think Rangers are going to put up a bit of a scrap.
Oh, they'll be up for it. They'll be up for it.
They'll bring loads of fans as well.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Ollie. Won his first game, is in charge of Besiktas tonight.
Oh, did he?
Europa League, 4-1, I think, against Athletic Club Bilbao. Yeah, so congrats, Ollie, man. Ollie's at the wheel in Turkey. Yeah. Loving it. I love it.
What's Ollie's at the wheel in Turkish? That's what I want to know.
Oh god, look that up. Try and pronounce. Let's see you pronounce this.
Yeah. I don't know if it's gonna like. Oh, there we go. Right. Oh wait, Ollie's at the wheel winning. Not. I'm sure this has already been searched.
Yeah.
Oh, Google edit.
That'll be trending if you look at Google Trend searches. The last like 2 days, that'll be going up.
Okay, so it's Jesus Christ.
There you go.
Ole Direccionda. Ole Direccionda. That's how you say it.
Okay.
That's what we're screaming around the. It doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't bounce with the tune, does it?
No, syllables taken out and all that kind of stuff. But obviously, it's always nice to hear that Solskjaer's doing well. Absolute legend, and wish him all the best. Yeah. But yeah, we're back in action tomorrow. We will be live. Make sure you come and join us. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out that video that we dropped on Garnacho and 5 potential replacements. That was dropped earlier today. So go and check that out and let us know your thoughts. Apart from that, enjoy the rest of your day, people. And me and Sam will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.
Peace.